Call the Common Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, November 14th. Notice has been duly posted. Roll call.
Mayor Joe Chilson.
Present.
Jim Benash.
Here.
Jerry Every.
Here.
Ron Jertson.
Here.
Jim Olson.
Here.
Harvey Bertrand.
Here.
Bob Muth.
Here.
Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public input. This time, anyone wishing to give public input to the Common Council, please step forward, state your name, address, and you are limited to 3 minutes.
Yeah, hi, Greg Luce, 120 Fairway Court. I'm troubled by this proposal to cancel the audit on the joint municipal court. You guys had meetings behind closed doors about what went on there, and it was agreed upon in September that we were gonna audit the, whatever, 9 boxes of papers that were found. And that was agreed upon, and I understand the CPA firm or whatever was ready to go on it around middle of September, and I'm concerned about why that didn't happen. When you guys pass an ordinance or a resolution, it's somebody's job to do that, right? So I'm wondering why this audit didn't happen already and why anyone wants to cancel it. Because, I mean, this is not good government, what we've got going on here. You know, we've got embezzlement, we've got, you know, just craziness going on here. City officials being a laughingstock, and now this court. Why do we even have a police department issuing citations if we're not gonna follow through on them? If we just have boxes of citations and stuff in the basement? So not only does this need a financial audit, which is, I guess, what you guys approved, it needs to have a legal audit to make sure there was no miscarriage of justice. Every one of those papers in those boxes needs to be gone through from a legal standpoint too, not just a financial standpoint. Otherwise, this is just a circus. So I hope to hear some discussion on that tonight. That's all.
Anyone else wishing to give public input? Second call, anyone wishing to give public input? Third and final call, anyone wishing to give public input? Public input is now closed. Report from the mayor. Chief, would you bring in our retiring officer? Yeah, if you make sure they don't eat me.
You're not that sweet.
Okay. So the first one coming in is Jack, our retiring officer. And the second one is Murray, who is our replacement officer. Zach has served auspiciously over the years, leading to 65 felony arrests, 86 misdemeanors, 74 ordinance violations. Active apprehensions of 7. He's confiscated 3.5 pounds of marijuana, an eighth of an ounce of coke, and 1.25 ounces of methamphetamine and a quarter ounce of heroin. But probably his finest hour was when he was called into action when a veteran slashed his wrists and ran off into the woods. And Jack was able to hunt him down, and that veteran's life was saved. So, Zach, you're going to have to be retired tonight, and you're going to have to get a hobby like chasing cars. So I think we should all give Jack a warm reception into retirement. And on top of that, a good officer like that is only as good as his handler. And Dan, you've done a fantastic job, you and Zach together as a team, and we're a better city because of it. Thank you so much. Okay, now, yeah. Now to Murray. Murray hasn't been trained yet, right? Okay. Okay, and so how's that training going to go? Are you leaving soon? Oh, you're back. Well, that shows you how much I was in the loop on that one. But so you're ready to step into the shoes today, and Murray's got some big paws to fill because Zach did such a wonderful job. So we welcome our new officer tonight, and remind him that that he's got a big reputation to uphold. So thank you for coming in, and Mary, you're on. Thank you. Discussion and possible action on support or non-support of the Pratt. The county has already taken a position on this, so if you would like to take a position or not, or one way or the other. Yes, Jim.
Well, being on the La Crosse County Convention and Visitors Bureau as well as the Room Tax Commission, I would not support this tax. It hurts more of the local citizenry within La Crosse County than it really helps, and it's questionable benefits as to what it really would provide for the road conditions. If anything, this matter should have been done at the state level rather than sock it down to the local level. And this tax is going to be more on the citizenry than it's really going to be on tourism. I think if you did a little bit of background work on this, you'd find that we as citizens would be paying more of this tax, and you're really not going to get much out of it. And it really would help, it would deter tourism, especially with La Crosse building about $34 million into their new building. And if you have somebody coming down there to try to get a convention here and they have to pay an extra percentage in tax, that's not going to help our tourism. So, and besides, from what I've been hearing from the citizenry, the referendum, the way it was worded, was confusing. And I think if it were reworded and done properly, I think the citizenry would have turned this down. So my opinion is we should say no to the Pratt.
Jerry.
I'll agree with Jim that I campaigned against this Pratt tax when I ran, and
Hold it a minute. We should probably have a motion on the floor.
Correct.
Make a motion for a discussion on the possible support or non-support of the Pratt, and that is the premier resort area tax for La Crosse County.
Second.
Why don't you take a position one way or the other? Wouldn't he?
No, he doesn't.
bring it up for discussion.
Okay. So a motion made by Jim, seconded by, Jim Banash, seconded by Ron. Okay, Jerry, you had the floor, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor, that's fine. I said I did campaign against this, and I'm glad that I did. It affects a lot of businesses, and it affects you in a lot of ways that you don't even know. There are many, many things that are going to be taxed that people aren't aware of. We certainly want to attract tourism, and I think that's one of the goals that we all have here. But I don't think the Pratt tax is going to help us accomplish that. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Jim?
I agree with Jim.
Okay. Ron?
I agree. It's like a ghost tax. It's going to take a long time to figure out the damage that it does, but it's obvious that it's going to hurt more than it helps. And like Jim said, basically, it's something that should be at the state level, not down here.
Okay. Anyone else? Bob?
I wonder if we shouldn't have a motion to not support it on record rather than just under discussion. And
That's what we're leading to, isn't it?
Is that an amendment?
that'll be amendment to, we will,
You okay with that amendment?
Absolutely.
non-support of
So
the,
we're going to amend it to not support the Pratt tax.
Second.
Second by, amended by Bob, seconded by Ron. All in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Abstentions? It is amended. Now, to vote to, now, a yes vote in this case is for non-support. Okay, so a yes is a no in this case. Okay, it's one of those. So all in favor of non-support, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Okay, I will take that forward. Library statistics have not been given to me, so I don't have any library statistics at this time. Okay, recommendations for approval and/or possible action from the following committees, commissions, and boards. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests removal, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in order of business in the non-consent agenda. Does anyone want to remove anything? Bob?
under the Plan Commission, item V, the approval of the amendment of Unified Development Code regarding ordinance sections.
V, okay, that will become, let's make that 9.5. So V will be at 9.5. So it'll be after Board of Public Works, but before the city administrator's report.
Mayor?
Harvey?
Item A, approval of minutes, should be taken off the consent agenda.
Okay, the approval of the minutes from last night's meeting, because we got the minutes in, but they haven't been gone, nobody's gone through them yet, so we will pull those off for our next meeting. Jerry?
Under Finance, item D, the authorization to cancel the agreed-upon procedures for the joint municipal court.
Okay, D. That will become item 7B. Okay? Ron?
Same one.
Oh, okay. Okay, so now we have item V becomes 9.5V, and item D becomes 7B, and we're pulling the minutes off because they are not ready yet. Okay? Does that meet everybody's approval? Okay. So, Finance Committee.
We need to approve the,
Oh, excuse me, we need to approve the consent agenda. All in favor of the approval of the consent agendas
We have to
as amended, signify by saying aye. Oops, no motion. I'm sorry.
make a motion to approve the consent
Trying to
agenda.
keep me from making a mistake, what you think?
Make that motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Jim Banash, seconded by Ron Jertson. Okay? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Abstentions? So moved. Okay, the non-consent agenda. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item A is vouchers. The list of monies expended since the last Common Council meeting dated October 10th, 2017, in the dollar amount of $1,771,999.94. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Bob Muth, seconded by Jim Olson to approve the vouchers. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? Motion carries. And you have B.
Now, under the Finance Committee that was pulled, item D, the authorization to cancel the agreed-upon procedure for joint municipal court for years 2014 through 2016.
Is there a motion of some kind?
I thought that was getting moved in the agenda.
It did get moved. We have to have a motion before we can talk about it, one way or the other.
It was moved to non-consent, so
Moved it, whoever.
Make a motion, bring it up for discussion.
Second.
Okay? Motion made by Jerry, seconded by Ron to bring it up for discussion. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, no, wait, just on the motion now. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to bring it up for discussion, say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Abstentions? Okay, now, Jerry.
Well, we talked a little bit about this last night, and I don't want to take a lot of time to talk about it again, but I guess at last week's Finance and Personnel Committee, I was shocked, stunned, and hurt, quite frankly. We had met as a committee and decided that we wanted to have an audit of the joint municipal court, and for various reasons, one of which was that something like that has happened here before. We didn't want it to happen again. We thought there needed to be some additional oversight in administration, and we wanted to make sure that everything was handled properly. To bring everybody up to speed on this, if you remember what went on, I'll try to refresh your memory. Sometime last summer, late summer, Eric Rindefish stumbled across 9 boxes of unprocessed summons and citations and who knows what from the joint municipal court. 2 of the boxes had never been opened. So we decided we wanted to have our attorney and his firm do an interim report. And so that was about in September. Or somewhere around the middle of September, Sean had reported on his review that in fact there was disorganization. It was so bad that they couldn't hardly get decent samples from what they were looked at. 5% of each category, and there are several categories, driving while drunk and different things, speeding and so on. 5% of those categories had never been adjudicated, they found. And I wanted to bring to your attention something. The 5% in that case didn't sound like a lot. But in the last quarterly report that we got from the Joint Municipal Committee, there were 894 drunken driving processes. 5% is somewhere between 40 and 45 people whose ticket had never been adjudicated. They're still driving around someplace. No points taken away, no nothing. That 5% means a lot. Second thing he found was that the payment plan that many of these were supposed to have been committed to has never been completed or wasn't done. So what happens when those things aren't entered into the record is that somebody's picked up for speeding or whatever, the points are never charged to their driver's license. They're still driving around. We still got 9 boxes down in the basement nobody knows what the hell to do with. We're gonna just forget them. They found unopened mail, and most of those were returned to sender, and they included a summary of the findings and what their fine was going to be and so on. They were sent back because address had changed and so on, but nobody knows if there was any success in forwarding those on or if those people ever got these notices. We met in closed session and we directed Eric to contact Habco and do an audit. Agreed to spend $8,000 on that audit. That audit never got started. It was to be done in December. It never was completed, nor was any information ever forwarded to HAPCO. On the 19th of October, the Joint Municipal Committee met again. They decided that they weren't going to do this audit, that they would want to spend the money instead on training under this new system. The people involved in this decision, I have the names. They are all either sitting in this room and, well, they are. The people that encouraged that decision, that they spend that money on training instead of on the audit. A person on the committee that's well-known here did suggest, make a motion that they do that. The other thing that surprised me and stunned me and hurt was at the Finance Committee meeting, all three members, when this item was brought up, there was a motion to approve it. Fred uttered 2 sentences of explanation. It's in the record. And they all voted yes. I'm wondering why. Leads me to believe, Ron and I are kind of used to being on the outside here. We're getting a little more used to it. But it leads me to believe that there was something that went on that was talked about that we knew nothing about. It would have been fine if there was something, tell us. So I guess that's what I'm asking now. I would like to know what's going to happen to these boxes, why our directive wasn't followed, what we're going to do with the money, transfer it, bring it back, authorize them to use it for that use that they want, whatever.
That's fine, I was looking at Ron, I thought he motioned that he wanted.
So I guess what I'm looking for is answers. You can read the minutes of that meeting. Everything I told you is in there. The people are mentioned. They have their names in there. I would think that all of us would want to see that that audit would prove that there was. So what, we already tried to correct some administrative problems. If there was, fine, let's correct them. But it would just tickle us to death to find out that nothing untoward happened. No money was missing, whatever. Instead, what happened at that at that joint committee meeting was that they were assured that 2 of our people had looked over the records that were there and they didn't see any problem with it. I think there are problems there, and I think we need to go with that. What I want to know is, Eric had indicated that we could rectify some of the problems in the 2018 budget per his newspaper article. Where is that? What are we going to do? I would like to see us complete this audit and get it done, and pray to God everything's going to come out all right. Thank you.
Ron?
I'll reiterate, this board up here asked to have a audit done. We approved it. It didn't happen. Why? I'm not getting the answers either. Don't understand. I don't think that our attorney should be over conversing with the committee, telling them what to do, unless we're telling him to do it. I don't remember ever having him in committee or in council here and directing him to do anything. In fact, the matter is, I made a statement that I didn't want him to go any further. The point is, we asked and we passed to have a audit done, and it didn't happen. My question simply is, who decided we're not having it? And who decided to go converse with the committee on anything that we didn't ask? We didn't ask, nor were we told. And I agree with Jerry's point of view. On the outside looking in, then I would like to see it happen, and I would like to see it cleared. We allocated about $8,000, and somebody decided that that money can go for something else. That's what we do. We do that here. We do it for the people out there. We make those decisions. That's what we're here for. Confused, baffled would be the word I'd use. They have not been doing this for a long time, but I kind of know how it works. And that's not how it works. That's one of the reasons I don't really support the committee. I don't think it works. Now, going forward, my recommendation is going to be that we start from square one and go through these things, and I hope we find nothing. I honestly do, because this city doesn't need it. And these people out here need it either. I was kind of hoping I would sit on this seat up here for a couple of years before I had to deal with stuff like this, but that's not the way it's going to be. But I do feel I'm up to the task to bring it forward to the people if we've got to. I think we've got a pretty competent group of people up here that can make the right decisions and move this thing forward as it needs to. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Well, I guess I would like to address some of that. I haven't sat in on some of the municipal court meetings, but I do follow the minutes. And I do know what's going on. I think the public should be aware that the joint municipal court is its own entity. And the council here doesn't really have a whole lot of say over what the judge does over there in the joint municipal court. So what transpired over there has been reviewed, and I have seen something written by our counsel who have said there's been no misrepresentation of funds, and I'm satisfied with that. There have been things done with our city administrator, and Eric's only been here a short time, but he's taken control and looked at what we need to do to make changes over there. And we've hired somebody who is an outstanding person to supervise over there. Yes, there are questions about what has happened regarding those tickets, and it has not been put into the system that some of the people probably should have been, but that is being addressed. Personally, I'm not exactly sure what an audit would do at this point. If you're looking to find fault with somebody, well, we already know where that is, and that's been rectified. It's been settled. I don't think impugning the integrity of people here on this dais is going to help the situation any. And I'm a little disappointed in the rhetoric. But I would go with, if they feel an audit is necessary, I would certainly go with that, but in my opinion, it isn't necessary. I think we've taken measures to correct these issues. And again, this is a separate entity, and things are being done over at the joint municipal court that needed to be addressed, have been addressed, and as far as I'm concerned, misappropriation of funds apparently did not exist.
Bob?
Yeah,
And
and
then
I'll
Harvey?
agree with Jim on this. The joint municipal court is just that. It's joint. It's West Salem, it's Holman, it's Campbell, it's Onalaska. It's a whole group that are together. It's not the city council that's going to go over there and dictate to the joint municipal court what they should or should not do. We did receive information back that they did not find any funds missing. And they've got a new person over there, a highly qualified person, that the training and the amount of money that they're going to save by upgrading their system over there, so there cannot be any, the theft of funds or anything else to go on. So steps were properly done. No one did it behind closed doors. No one excluded Jerry and Ron from any information. They had access to every bit of information that we had. And we don't dictate to the Joint Municipal Court what they do. We're a part of it. And saying that you feel that you're separate from the rest of us personally is insulting.
Harvey?
Yes, please, correct me if I'm wrong, counsel. I'm Sean. But as I understood it, we took a sampling of what's the contents of the boxes. And prior to that time, we had decided, as I understand it, to take several months. To go back, 3 years, I believe it was, of the 8 or 9, whatever it was, to do some sampling to see what we could find. As I understand that we did the sampling, and it was determined that based on what we were finding, or what they were finding, that it would be a waste of time to go through. In other words, the expenditure to go through the entire file system would be an inordinate amount of money. So the payback would not be justified given the expense to look into it. Is that close, Sean?
Somewhat. I mean, I'm happy to address the issue that occurred at the municipal court meeting on October 19th, if the council would like me to do that.
Please.
Okay. I prepared an interim report to the Joint Municipal Court based upon a review of 8 of the 30-plus boxes of unfiled material that were in the municipal court following the termination of the former municipal court clerk. I did that at the request of the city administrator and of the Joint Municipal Court Committee in September. I also reviewed financial records of the JMC, reviewed the JMC processes or lack thereof, and I did a limited review of the electronic records of the JMC. Pursuant to the request of the Joint Municipal Court and of the city administrator, I prepared a report. It's called an interim report of JMC review. I'm confident everyone here has received a copy of it. When that was prepared and presented on October 19th, I was under the understanding HAPCO was going to move ahead. In fact, my report specifically says, my understanding is that pursuant to the Municipal Court Committee direction that the accounting firm of HAPCO will be doing a sampling of records to either confirm the conclusions in this interim report or suggest a more thorough audit is needed to reach conclusions, and if so, to suggest a format for such an audit. That is the agreed upon procedures was to do that. When I walked into Joint Municipal Court meeting on October 19th, my understanding is that that was what was going to happen. During the introduction of the new municipal court clerk, an issue arose with respect to training by Tyler Technologies, and that training was going to cost an additional $6,000. There was discussion amongst the members of the Joint Municipal Court Committee of where those funds would come from. The Joint Municipal Court Committee identified that they were going to spend money on the audit. I did answer a direct question with respect to that. I was asked which would be more valuable, the audit or the training, and I answered, if you can only pick one, that the training is more valuable so that the issues do not occur again. Nothing the Joint Municipal Court Committee did with respect to their motion makes the audit not be able to go forward. It was just the Joint Municipal Court Committee decided not to use the joint funds of the Joint Municipal Court to pay for the audit. That is what they did. This body has every opportunity to move ahead and to have the first step. It's not a full audit, it is a sampling, and it's HABCO that was going to do the sampling. We took a random set of boxes, so no one even knew what was there. It could have been completely organized and perfect and easy to sift through. But our finding, and I guess in my review, my review involved 3 priorities, and they were in order. Were funds paid by defendants misappropriated by staff members? I found no evidence, nothing that would suggest that that happened. Second, were defendants' rights abridged due to being charged multiple times, routinely not being provided notices, or otherwise being treated unfairly? I didn't find anything with respect to that. The third was, were citations and judgments not followed up upon entered, collected in a standard and routine manner? And I found that due to the disorganization, lack of standard process, and lack of adoption of the city's computer system led to inconsistent and delayed reporting of judgments, poor collections, and poor reporting to the Department of Motor Vehicles. Okay? That's what appeared evident. I don't know what the samplings will find, but I did. So with respect to what's in the minutes, I answered a direct question and said, if you can only have one is more valuable than the other. This body is free to move ahead and spend the city's money to do the audit.
Ron first, and then Jerry. Yeah.
As regard to the city being involved with the joint municipal court system, we are involved because we're our part of it, Bob. I personally would like to see us get out of it and have our own, at least something that we've got more say-so over the top of. I think that's kind of what we've got ourselves into here, trying to solve problems for other communities or help them along has gotten us into a little bit of a situation that I think we need to definitely learn something from. We are spending money on it. We do house it, and we don't police it. Jim pointed that out. Bob, I've talked to you about it. I think I've talked about it with Jim and Jerry. Probably the only person I haven't talked about it with Sean. Definitely with Eric. There's got to be something down the line that's got to change here. We cannot have an individual turning our system upside down. It blows in the face of good police work, if nothing else, and the hard work of the people down here that are trying to do the right thing. We've got a lot of people that come and go to work here every day that are affected by problems like this. You know, and just walking away from it, not trying to fix it, is not the answer. You know, Sean indicated that we can't move forward, and it is city money. And I understand the position of the committee. They want to take their monies and move their situation forward and better. But they're also counting on us coming along. You know, and that's something that I think this board needs to take a careful look at going forward. Where do we want to be in regards to that?
I'm not sure that answers.
Jerry,
I'm sorry.
Jerry, and then Art.
Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The problem with all of this, I think, Ron and the rest of us, is timing. Somewhere, somehow, the timing is off. On the night that we had the closed session and decided to do the audit, we had your information. We had it. That information didn't change. So I think it's a timing problem. Other than that, I can't tell you what happened. But All I know is then that I would, as long as we can move forward, I would make a motion that we do that, to move forward with the audit, if you all agree. And I don't really see any reason why not to. I would think we would all feel much better to know exactly what it was. Thank you.
There. We're still in discussion, aren't we?
No, just hang on a minute. You can make that motion? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, Jerry's made a motion to move forward with the audit of the joint municipal court. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ron. Discussion. Now, Harvey, you can.
Initially, and I can't remember the chronology here, but as I understand, we agreed to take 3 years of the history. I understand it's 8 or 9 years, 3 years, and look through those 3 years and of documents and see what we find, frankly. And Sean, I understand that we, or some individuals, at least went through some of those boxes and said, and then you read the statements a few minutes ago, that it would not be worthwhile, as I understood it, to do the review of all the records. And so, I guess what I'd like to ask is, if you'd be able to tell me, we have 9 boxes. Apparently, they're huge. To go through each one, apparently, it would be a monumental task and take a lot of money to go through there. And I'm not convinced that, given records that go back that far and the difficulty possibly in collecting those fines or whatever they were, would be worth it. So that's kind of where I understand we are in terms of the justification not to pursue the audit.
Do you want me to just
Yes.
respond to that question? If the question I answered at joint municipal court was, if you could do one, training or do the sampling, which would be more valuable? My answer was the training. I believe that the sampling would be valuable. I was at the closed session when this council said they thought that should move forward. I was at the joint municipal court when it came up that they wanted something to be done so they'd be able to have some assurance. When I did my review and wrote my report, I anticipated that the sampling would be done. It is I think that the public would probably feel better if there was an outside source which did the sampling. But like Alderman Jerkson, I do understand why the joint municipal court made the decision they made with respect to not want to spend that joint money when there's a finite amount of money and they didn't have another fund to be able to use to fund both the training and the audit.
Harvey.
Yes. So again, we made the decision, as I understand, to sample 3, to sample 3 of the years of information there. It seems to me that whether it's accountants or someone or someones, should be able to tell us what a statistical sampling would look like in terms of the number of letters need to be opened or whatever, because we don't have, I don't think, the people power, staff power to go through these monstrous numbers of boxes. So I suggest we find some company or someone to tell us what we need to do in terms of statistical sampling, and then pursue that line of reasoning.
And the accounting firm of Habco accounting firm did put together a proposal which was signed. In fact, that's what the topic tonight is, and it is whether or not, I think the topic in front of you tonight is whether or not the city is going to cancel that or move ahead. If it's going to move ahead, to find out which fund is going to fund that. So there is a method that's already been established.
Yes, we did, and Eric has in his possession, you folks all got one too, a letter from HAPCO outlining exactly what they were gonna do. And I had assumed that that was the agreed-upon procedure, and we were to send them the information, and I'm sure that that's what we thought was gonna happen. Because it was stated in that meeting twice that we haven't forwarded any information to them yet, as of October 19th. So we had a plan. Thank you.
Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was seeking clarification to the motion to proceed. We've heard the word audit, but just to clarify, it's the existing as proposed sampling, the agreed upon procedure by HABCO that we've reviewed. That's the motion. Just want to clarify that that's the intent, is to continue to proceed with that, correct?
Proceed with the new sampling by HAPCO.
Right, but
We haven't sampled anything yet.
right, but
No, but the proceed,
the agreed upon
proposal that-
procedures as presented before.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Ron?
That we proceed with that, what we agreed to do, that whole set of boxes gets sent for the sampling. Is that what we're doing, or what is that plan?
I don't think they can do that for $8 grand.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
Eric, is that your question or is that Sean's?
Review of the agreed upon procedure was to sample one particular month for 3 consecutive years, which means they would have to identify every document for the 3 particular months. As to the process, do they go through all 30, or can they identify every case from those months without going through all 30? I can't speak to that, but that's the sampling they intend to do, is if there's a pattern of malfeasance or lost money, you would be able to, it would be consistent to be able to identify it on the same random month for 3 consecutive years. But I can't answer the question as to, they look at all 30 boxes, or do they find out what they need to make sure they have every document for those 3 months? I don't know. We leave that to HABCO.
Harvey?
So we had our vote to go with the consulting firm to do the audit. But subsequently, Sean, you got with the people in the municipal court, and you went through a number of the tickets, it's whatever they were, the documents. And it seems to me as though the information you found out would likely modify our initial, let's say, request of the auditing firm to go forward. Would that be correct?
Not necessarily. I went through what was in front of me to be able to draw conclusions. What they're going to do is, as the city administrator said, they're going to take one set of tickets from one particular month from each year. They are going to track each of those tickets all the way through the system to the extent they can with the available information, is what they're going to do, to see if there's any pattern of non-usage. And we did not do anything to that depth. That's what they are going to do. And so there might be information within the number of boxes which are disorganized. They are going to look at the records that were properly filed too. It just depends upon where those records happen to exist.
Ron?
They're going to be doing a more extensive job than what we did, and that's the short term of it. I think we're doing everybody a service by allowing them to do what we agreed to do earlier.
Well, I just want to address the issue that there's no collusion here. I don't want the public to feel that the city council in any way hid something from the public, because everything is right out there for everybody to see. The decisions that have been made were made with best intentions. Now, my question would be, what do we intend to accomplish by having some kind of audit? Here we talk about saving money for the city, but then we're going to spend money to do an audit with questionable results. I mean, what's the point? Are we trying to find out if there is malfeasance, or are we trying to find out what exactly is missing? Now, we already know that we've got a supervisor over there who is going through all these to put these information into a system so that we can catch up with everything. If we're going to do an audit, what do we expect to accomplish? And it seems kind of odd that here we talk about saving money for the city, and then we go ahead and spend money to accomplish something with questionable results. So I'm kind of torn on that issue. I understand, I was very frustrated in the beginning when I heard about this, but then again, I realized the state has more to say over what the municipal court does, and we have very little to say over what the joint municipal court does. And the judge has a great deal of authority over there. So we've already put things in motion and got things already well to being taken care of. So I'm not really sure an audit is really necessary.
Well, I think that the people that are on that joint municipal committee did not represent their people well. Even if you take about that 5% that I'm talking about, that are still driving around, you got drunk drivers out there driving around, they're going to kill one of your kids one of these days. They've never been adjudicated, never brought to justice. Same with speeding or anything else. They've never had the points assessed against their license. They're still driving around out there in our neighborhoods. You want that? Did you do a service to your constituents by allowing that? No. We, I think, want to find out the very things that we outlined in our proposal, and that is if there's something administratively that we can do better, and we've done some things already, and it really is better. We want to get these things adjudicated so that we get the proper reports to the state, the proper people get either suspended license or reported or dinged, however they're going to get dinged, so that the finances work out. We have to make a report to the state so that we're not making reports just so the things, records match and to make money, but that we're actually accomplishing something. And that was one of the points you also made. And I think that's another thing that we want to do. So I think it would be worthwhile. And I know, you know, we just went through the budget and talked about saving money and talked about spending money. And it's easy to do with somebody else's money, no question about that. But I think this was money that we had committed to. That night, there didn't seem to be any discussion of where it would come from or when. And it was this year, and not next year's budget. So I would like to see us go ahead with that.
Yes, based on the information and the conversation that's gone on in the last 15 or 20 minutes, I think comments by both of you gentlemen regarding the integrity of the rest of this panel is out of line, and I'm offended that you feel that way. And as we move forward, I don't think there's any information that we've talked about here in the last few minutes brings anybody's integrity into question. I don't see anything here that was not handled properly and can't be fixed. So those are my comments to you, gentlemen. So if you would like to have a conversation about integrity sometime, be glad to do that in public or in private, whichever you prefer.
Call a question.
Okay, the
Second.
question has been called and by Jim Banash and seconded. All in favor of the vote on the question, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions. The question's called. All in favor of the motion? What is the motion? Okay, Carrie, could you read the motion back, please?
The motion is to move forward with the audits with HAPCO according to the procedures as outlined in the contract that we had previously signed.
Roll call, please.
Okay, roll call vote.
Jim Banash.
Hey,
Jerry Every.
Aye.
Ron Jertson,
Aye.
Jim Olson,
Aye.
Harvey Bertrand.
No.
Bob Muth,
Nay.
tie 3-3.
I'm going to vote in favor of this. So we can put this thing to bed.
Thanks.
Okay.
We are at, yeah, number 8.
Personnel, that'd still be me. Review and consideration of changing vendors for a short-term or long-term disability. I think that'd be Hope.
Thank you. In your packets, I had attached in the agenda, we've been looking with our vendor to get different rates for our short-term and long-term disability plans to try to see if we could get something that was better than what we currently have for our employees. And we got it back the night of F&P, so we weren't able to have it on F&P, but we felt it was important to move it forward. And so if you'll notice in there, the short-term disability plans that we have currently through UNUM, basically after you're out for 30 days, you can have up to 60% of your wages, up to $500 utilized at a fee, depending on your salary and how old you are, to determine those rates. If we go with Kansas City Life, we're able to do that at $1,500. So instead of the $500 per week, probably a majority of our staff, particularly in police and fire, make more than $500 at 60% of their pay. And then when you look at the rates that they're offering, they're significantly lower in some cases for those per $10 benefit. And so I think there'd be a significant savings to our city employees. There is no cost to the city other than our time to administer the plan and doing open enrollment. But my preference would be to go with the Kansas City Life for both the short-term and long-term disability plans. It's easier if you administer both plans with the same company because of the paperwork that the employees have to fill out is significantly less, but the rates are very comparable. If you look at the long-term disability rates, that would be an increase to $6,000 per month per employee. And the rates, again, are significantly lower than UNUM's rates. And so again, I'm looking for approval to go with a new company, the Kansas City Life in particular. I have arrows above both of those sheets if you can find them. I think it's to the benefit of our employees, and then the open enrollment period would be January 1st. We would have that in December. Eric and I reviewed these together, and we're confident that this is something that the employees will especially the current employees will be able to enjoy at a lower rate. So when costs keep going up, it's nice to see something go down. So I'm just asking for authorization to move forward with that.
Okay, the motion by Jerry to approve,
Second.
second by Ron. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Board of Public Works.
Thank you, Your Honor. Under 9A, review and consideration of pay estimates for Strand Associates, Short Elliott Hendrickson Incorporated, Matthew Construction, Pembroke Companies, Safe Step, Gerke Excavating, Bluestrom Forestry, Today's Trees, Fowler and Hammer, Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and any other contractor/developer. The estimate sheet was inadvertently left out of the Board of Public Works packet when it was distributed for the meeting. So tonight we are looking for approval, and staff is recommending approval of the 11 estimates on the sheet dated 11/17 in your packet.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve? Okay, motion by Jerry, second by Ron to approve. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved.
Item 9B, review and consideration of extending 2017 leaf vacuuming service and yard waste pickup. For starters, this is probably one of the most unusual leaf vacuuming seasons I have seen in my tenure here. We've been leaf vacuuming via contractor for almost 15 years now, and this is the first year we've ever kept up. We've actually been doing it every week and actually keeping up. We did start October 2nd, which was a week earlier start than what we had typically done in the past. Over the last 10-year period, we have started anywhere from October 5th to October 14th, with such dates as October 10th, 5th, 13th, 14th, 12th, 13th, 11th. So you can see we start pretty much about the same time every year. We decided to start a week earlier this year because previously we had seen that we would not keep up, and the residents would get angry with the fact that leaves would sit for typically a 3-week pass. With that, Harder's had completed 6 passes. Our contract requires 4 passes, so they actually did 6 passes. So the first pass did not, we did not count the first pass when they did that to the 4 passes, and they actually did another pass through 11/10 of 17. In talking with Harder's last week and going through this, with the way the leaves are sticking on the trees, I made a decision and authorized 1 more pass, which is being presently done. We currently budget $34,000 a year in the budget for the leaf vacuuming service. 1 more pass was at a cost of $6,000. That pass we are anticipating will be done Monday of next week. With that, going over the historic data that we have, the last pass over the last 3 years, for instance, has ran 11/13, 11/9, and 11/13. With that, the last pass just started this week, so it runs into those same dates. What we have is, because there's still so many leaves on the trees as of today even, they will get that pass done in a relatively expeditious manner. So that we are anticipating leaf vacuuming will be done next week about 11:20. One thing I did want to also point out is we will have yard waste pickup through the week of 11/27, which would be the week after Thanksgiving. We did extend that 2 weeks also to give residents an opportunity to bag leaves or put them in containers, and they will be picked up. So I guess with that, what we're here tonight is just to give everyone an update. You know, what wasn't able to bring this to the Board of Public Works with the timeliness of this is what I brought to the council's attention, and just wanted to let you know that we did extend it for another pass at a cost of $6,000. So I guess with that, I'd open it up for questions.
Yes. I guess the question of you and Fred, I suppose. It seems as though this, it's indication this could be a year after year, you know, moving forward phenomenon. I just wonder if we need to change our budget, if that's a significant amount of money to justify changing the 2018 budget.
I guess I have not seen a trend yet. This is previous years we have not. To be perfectly honest, this is the first year I've not seen the 3-week pickup. Typically, every year we've had 1 pickup that takes 3 weeks. This is the first year I've not seen it. I will say that our contractor, Harder's Quick Cleanup, has been running 2 leaf vacuum trucks, so they've been putting in the hours to do the leaf vacuuming. And part of it is that. Part of it is I think they have an exceptional crew this year. I don't know how they recruited their people this year, but typically this is a limited term temporary employment for them, and the employees they seem to have this year are doing a fantastic job, so they've been running at a faster pace. So I haven't seen enough that it's going to be a statistical, when we looked at previous dates, our administrative assistant upstairs, Vicki, has that runs a lot of our recycling solid waste areas. She's got data back 10 years. We've got the last 5 years due to the GPS and the trucks. We know exactly where they're at every day. So she's got exactly when they've started and stopped, and it's just a weird year, in my opinion. But
I'd like to make a motion to extend the leaf vacuuming service and yard waste pickup due to the weather conditions.
Second.
Motion made by Jim Banash. Jerry? Okay. Seconded by Jerry to extend the leaf pickup season, if you will. Discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a good thing. This is something we can do for our citizens, and I think it's a good thing. You did a wonderful job, and the contractor's done a good job this year. The leaf pickup is something that, the additional cost that we're going to probably have to make adjustments at the end of the year, just like anything else. There are going to be adjustments before we're all done. But I think that's a good thing. It keeps the leaves out of the sewer system, and it's good. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Report from the city administrator.
We got 9-5, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have two different copies here, so 9.5. V, 9.5V. Yes.
Your Honor, that's the approval of the amendment to the Unified Development Code regarding the following ordinance sections: 13-6-7, 13-6-11, 13-6-12, 13-6-13, 13-6-14. I would like to make a motion to approve, first of all.
Second.
Motion made by Bob Muth to approve that ordinance change, seconded by Jim Olson. Correct? Okay, discussion.
Yes, then I'd like to make an amendment to change ordinance, or this section 13-6-7 that relates to the accessory structures or so on. The way it's worded, I would like to change it to an option that was brought forward by city staff last July. And that option would increase the maximum coverage from 20% to 25%. However, the rear yard accessory structures may not exceed 1,000 square feet overall. And like the staff explained to us back then and again recently, this will allow smaller properties additional accessory structures and square footage. So I would like to make that amendment.
What was that option, Bob?
It's 13-6-7.
The option that was
The
given?
option would be option 2,
Okay, thank you.
which is the increase of the maximum coverage from 20% to go to
Okay.
25%.
Okay,
That would enable most smaller properties that, with this new change, they would enable them to get a storage shed.
has there been a second to this?
Second?
Okay, second, who,
Second.
okay. Jim Olson's going, or, excuse me, Jim Banash is going to second the amendment. Discussion on the amendment. Jim?
Oh, I didn't, it's been a while since I've read that, but was there the possibility that we could have the greater, get to 25%, or where there was some discussion about eliminating, what was it, like if a person had a garage?
Yeah, that would be,
I think it was 400.
right, Ron, that would be option 3. What you're talking about would be to keep the 20% maximum, but they would allow up to 400 square feet of any detached garage shall not be counted towards the calculation of the 20%. That was option 3.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
that
that's
was
what you were talking
considered.
about. Correct.
It's been a while since I've read it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
understand.
My memory is pretty good.
Any other discussion on the amendment?
Just a little bit of history on this. I had brought this to the attention because it was brought to us by a citizen regarding what they can and can't have in their yards. And then I understand it was stated in the Plan Commission that we can't cowtail or so to an individual, but the purpose for everybody is to have the opportunity to say something. And if we see something, to say something and see if we can correct it. In this particular instance, as it was shown throughout some of the meetings, yes, there was more than one person that had an issue with accessory structures in their yard. And that's what we're attempting to do here. I don't see that the citizenry is going to run out and everybody's going to put themselves an accessory in their yard. It's just a citizen came forward, we have the opportunity to do something about it, and I think that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and I think basis of the problem is, most people don't even know there is an ordinance. So if you own a property here in Onalaska and you think, well, I need a storage shed to get all my lawn tools out, you just go to the store, you buy it, you put it up, and the city doesn't know about it. But they might be breaking the law. So we have other people that do it the right way, check out to see if they can build a storage shed, and then we tell them, no, you can't. So you got people that just go out and buy one and put it up that have a storage shed. You have people that follow the law, want to do it the right way, and you tell them, no, you can't have a storage shed. And that's just not right. And I agree with Alderman Benash. I don't see we're going to have a run on storage buildings. And I don't see any problem. And again, we answer to the citizens of Onalaska. And they, you know, in my opinion, I think they'll be the judges of what they need for a storage shed or not have a storage shed. But I think this change is absolutely needed.
Anybody else? Ron?
So you're not gonna go buy stock in Home Depot?
Menards is cheaper.
Okay, enough with the ads. Okay, we need to vote on the amendment. So all in favor of the amendment to add option 2 to 13-6-7? Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Abstentions? It is amended. Now, the motion as amended. All, okay. It's already been, yep, okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Report by the city administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. My request today, there's no document attached to it, but it's come to my attention that if ever there would be a conflict for our attorney to provide coverage, there is no ability for me as administrator to obtain outside legal counsel. The request is simply to direct or allow me to, if a case of conflict does arise, that I can retain on a short-term basis or singular basis outside legal counsel.
Okay, and you are asking for action?
I'm asking for action, so I can do so.
Okay. Consideration, yes, you are. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Jerry, second by Bob, to approve the consideration for retaining outside legal services when needed for conflicts of interest. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Closed session, to consider a motion to convene in closed session under section 19.85, parent 1, parent E of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified business, public business, whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. In this case, discussion related to the negotiation of strategies and contracts related to the downtown area. Also, IAFF, International Association of Firefighters, Local 127 contract. Consideration, development, and approval of negotiating strategy regarding Town of Madera fire contract. Discussion related to possible annexations along County Road OT, and discussions related to negotiation of possible or a potential offer to purchase city property, in this case, the Omni Center. To consider a motion to convene in closed session under section 19.85, parent 1, parent G of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel or the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. And in this case, it's digital billboards and property damage at 651 Second Avenue South on Alaska. If any action is required in open session as a result of the closed session, the Common Council will reconvene in open session to take the necessary action and/or continue on with the printed agenda.
Make the motion to proceed to a closed session.
Motion by Harvey,
Second.
seconded by Jim Olson to go into closed session. Roll call.
Harvey Bertrand.
Aye.
Ron Jertson.
Here.
Jerry Every.
Aye.
Jim Olson.
Aye.
Jim Benash.
Aye.
Bob Muth.
Aye.
We stand in closed session.